So, Dylan, by this point, future Dave has just arrived home from San Diego Comic-Con. 5 days of standing and talking and hauling books and moving books into and out of a van and speaking with people of all sorts of communication skills. How do you imagine future Dave to be reacting in this moment as he's home from Comic-Con?
I feel like future Dave is probably in a closet with the door closed, watching Star Trek on a very small window.
With the light illumination turned way down,
Just
right?
way
So it's not
down.
even. Yeah. So I can barely see Data. I can barely make out.
I'm talking first season Next Generation, the really boring episodes.
No, I actually don't want first season because the music was blaring in the first season of Next Generation. Remember that every time they walk through a hallway, it's like bah, 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 and you're like, good Lord. It was way too much in season one. They brought out the full orchestras.
Good money for that music.
You wisely perhaps stopped doing Comic-Con about 10 years ago, I think, right?
No, I was last there in 2019.
Oh!
Which you might recall.
6 years ago.
Because I spent most of it behind your booth.
Oh, is that because that was the year that I had the coffee machine, right? And I was like,
yes,
every pal was coming up with coffee. Yeah.
I was pregnant, so I ate a lot of your M&Ms.
Fair. That's
and
good.
I reorganized how you had merchandised Drive.
Good. That's great. Listen, that's a fair exchange. M&Ms for merchandise arrangement. That's great. But what would it take for us to get you back to Comic-Con? Would it take an Eisner nomination, do you think?
That depends.
What would get you back down there?
I was there in 2019 because I had a book coming out and my publisher included Comic-Con on their promotional circuit, so they wanted me there.
Yeah.
And they are a traditional publisher, not a comics-only publisher. So they get really excited for comics people because we're not scared of the general public. They're like, it's going to be a half-hour signing. Do you think you can handle that? I was like, oh, what?
Oh, my God.
Like, they wouldn't let me carry boxes. And they're like, don't worry, we'll have cold water and snacks. And it's like, what?
I mean, you were fairly along pregnancy-wise at that point, right?
I was first trimester, and I did have morning sickness, which luckily was only triggered by talking.
Oh, God, exactly what you want. That's great.
Yeah,
I'm so glad
you enjoyed the book. Yeah.
Every third sentence. Yeah, the watercolors were mainly done by just like fighting it back. Oh, God. Well, on that note of greeting people warmly in the first trimester, I will say hello, everybody, and welcome to Comic Lab, the show about making comics.
And making a living from comics. I'm Dylan Meconis. I'm the author of Queen of the Sea and the upcoming Prince of the City.
And I'm pal Dave Kellett, cartoonist of Drive and Sheldon and co-director of Stripped.
And this week's hour of comics advice is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. So Dave, stop looking at your cute dog. Let's talk about comics.
Let's talk about comics. This is delightful. I'm so thankful, my friend, for you sitting in for Brad. Brad Gang is visiting with family in Michigan, as is his yearly summer ritual. I think, by the way, going to Michigan in the middle of June is the best time of year to go to Michigan because there's no sweating involved at all there, I would imagine.
It's a bold choice.
It's a calm weather environment in Michigan. The mosquitoes are nigh at their apex, I would imagine, and it's probably 105 degrees with very moderate 98-degree humidity, or 98% humidity.
It's going to be delicious.
So, Brad, wherever you are, we wish you well. But sitting in, our dear friend Dylan. Dylan, thank you for doing this. We've got great questions lined up specifically for you, my friend, being on the show. So we can jump right into the first one. And because you are such a talented YA author, and again, Queen of the Sea, if you have not seen it, gosh, is it a hit in the Kellett house. We absolutely love it. It has pride of place on our bookshelf and in our reading room. And so thank you for creating it. It is a beautiful book. But this question, as a fantastic YA author, goes out to you. How would you go about marketing a middle grade webcomic? I love creating middle grade stories, but waiting for the gatekeepers to give me a shot is exhausting. But sending kids to the internet is also a tricky thing for parents, understandably. What would you do to market and eventually monetize a webcomic intended for middle grade audiences? Middle grade being ages 8 to 12, roughly. So, Dylan, this question is perfectly suited for you. And there might not be a great answer for this, but I will turn it over to you anyway. What would you recommend as thoughts or possibilities for someone marketing and eventually monetizing a middle grade webcomic?
Yeah, it's a tough one because kids really aren't getting a lot of like unsupervised open internet time.
Yeah.
And the platforms that they do have access to are usually very focused on a form of entertainment already. You know, they're on Roblox or YouTube Kids. God, no.
Minecraft or
Minecraft. Yeah. They go deep on Minecraft. I'm preparing myself. I'm like, are we going to be a Pokemon household or a Minecraft household?
You can be both. That's what the Kellett household was. We journeyed down both paths, and it was good. Although I was made fun of constantly by my children because I was never good at Minecraft. Couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure out how to place a block. Couldn't figure out how to mine a block. I was just legitimately terrible at Minecraft. But yeah, so keep going with that thought. So there's not a lot of places, not a lot of platforms, safe, neutral platforms for them to go.
Yeah, and so I'm a middle grade author. Queen of the Sea is middle grade, it's upper middle grade. So I say 10 to 14, but obviously kids read at different levels.
Yep.
And middle grade is really hard because there are multiple layers of gatekeepers. You know, for good reasons, because access to children is a sensitive subject for very good reasons. There's agents, there's publishing editors, and then when it comes to sales, like getting material into kids' hands, either you're looking at going through an app developer usually, because apps are like little closed gardens, so they're generally deemed more safe or having been vetted. Whether that's true or not is up to debate. And in print, you're looking at dealing with a lot of library systems and school library systems, which have very different demands. And at marketing to parents, because parents are usually the ones who are buying the books at the store. So frankly, I might tell you to enjoy the crossover adult audience that you get with the purely virtual webcomic. Make it sort of market it as this is a fun comic to read with your kid. So have it be you're reaching the adults and being like, you can have a family experience of sitting down and reading it together, and focus on the newsletter if possible. So do like the monthly or weekly roundup of material.
Oh, and that's very clever.
And that way, like a parent will get the newsletter, and it can be their Sunday funnies reading together.
Right.
And then
this is very clever. Can I clarify one thing with you? Because you used a phrase that I wasn't familiar with. You said crossover young adult. Was that the phrase you used? What was the phrase?
Just a crossover adult audience.
Crossover adult. Okay.
Yeah, because in comics we have the term all ages.
Right.
Which in traditional publishing is gobbledygook. Like, so it's unmarketable. We don't know.
So you don't know what you're doing. All right, great. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
Thanks for coming to us, the publisher. Okay, so you're saying crossover as like, look, it is written for, it is appropriate for middle grade audiences, but the acknowledgement here on every webcomic platform is it's going to be given to and read by an adult primarily, and then transmitted through them to middle grade. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's very clever. And that's probably, honestly, the best that one could hope for with a middle grade webcomic. Like you said, it's a tricky thing. And rightly so for a bunch of parenting styles. And I mean, a bunch of parenting styles, that's a really hard audience to reach, and rightly so. So it's a tough one. It might be the kind of case, to Dylan's point, that you kind of can enjoy a limited both feedback in terms of both emotional feedback and financial feedback in webcomic form, but it's at least kind of a North Star towards the eventual publishing and the eventual interactions with editors and agents on that book. I mean, is that probably your best hope, Dylan? Yeah,
if you can garnish your own audience. I would also encourage you to just think about what easy, low numbers print edition you could put together, even if it's just like a special little zine and that you can sell locally, or you can take to your local comic book stores or family-friendly bookstores, your like the local children's book stores or children's libraries. Just like look at, or street fair events. Even those are fantastic. Like people just have much wider acceptance of something if they're in an environment that is established as family friendly. Because on the open internet, like who knows, you're not even in control of the ads that appear on your website half the time.
No.
But if you are in person and a kid is getting a fun zine with comics in it that they can read, like it doesn't need to have great production values. You can balance the virtual low cost new stuff coming up all the time with the, and here is a thing that you can take home and that has a QR code on the back that will take you to the comic online. Right.
And I want to circle back on your very clever idea of the newsletter as being the big push here for two reasons. One, I think you're right. It's read in a sitting more than an adult-oriented webcomic would be read in snippets, here and there in bits and batches. Whereas getting a newsletter once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, fits both the reading style of like, okay, now adult and child have time to read it together, but it also has the nice secondary benefit of slowly building your mailing list such that when the book arrives or is about to arrive, or you're trying to push for that, that ever important first days and weeks launch in sales, you have X number of people you can reach out to. And I'm sure at this point, with your upcoming book, do you have a list that you're kind of relying on to get at least out to X number of people when the book is ready to go?
That will be the publisher's job, Dave.
But you must have some interaction ability with audience from all your wonderful past titles that you could reach out to.
Yeah. I have old mailing lists and Kickstarter projects and Patreon and all kinds of places. I was also really just connected in the Portland comics community. So I know that if I want to have a store reading or whatever, that's not going to be a problem for me to arrange. And I've got good resources and good vibes with comics people online in general. So that stuff makes more of an impact now than it has in the past when social media worked a little better. Right. But you're also one of the best and most, I don't know if the right verb here, but is tied in person on 9,000 Discords that I've ever met. What I'm saying is like you are an upstanding member and like active member of 1 billion Discords. So that's also what I'm getting at here is that like every resource you can tap into when it comes time to launch a book is, no matter if you're working for a publisher, self-publisher, indie publisher, major publisher, all of it helps when the time comes. And so for this question asker, to your great idea about focusing on a newsletter, and ideally a newsletter, you could tie it into a Patreon or a Substack eventually such that you're bringing in a little token amount of money on it in the interim. I think that's a brilliant long-term strategy for that. So yeah, agreed. I know also some people have a lot of success with having a snail mail club be part of. So you can, like, on Ko-fi or Patreon or whatever platform you like, you can say, hey, kids and parents, once a month, I'll send a sticker or a postcard with your art or whatever you like to, whatever secure address you're comfortable with me having. You can use services that make it so that the person pushing the mail can't actually see any home addresses, anything like that. But you can have there be a tactile element to it that really appeals to kids in that age range.
Yeah, I mean, even just you using the word club is immediately triggered for me like a smile, because that's something you wouldn't necessarily use that for something like a drive. You know what I mean? Like you don't say, hey, I don't know. It just doesn't have the same resonance. But as soon as you're talking to a middle-aged group, of course, club is the right word to use. That's great.
Yeah.
So a snail mail club. I love that. That's very cute.
Yeah. And you don't want to go too young with it. Like, because middle grade, they're like, yeah, I'm on the verge. I'm not a little kid anymore. I'm not even a kid anymore. I'm a young adult. And you're like,
Well, what's that? There, you would probably know this better. There's some sort of phrasing where every child that's of a reading age wants to be an aspirational reader. So they're always reading whatever the next stage is.
it's called reading up.
Reading up. I knew there was a phrase for it, and I knew you would know it because you're the smartest little smart person on Smart Town. But yes, reading up, that's a clever phrase, because you always, like, if a kid is at all savvy, they want to know what's coming for them, like, all right, I'm 10 now, but what's it going to be like when I'm 13? That kind of thing. So I did the same when I was a kid. Although it was mostly about elves and trolls, but I was still reading up. I was like, what do these adult elves need to do and to get to Galadriel? What do we got to get to on it?
Yeah, when you're a kid, like any age above what you are is a power fantasy. So
yes.
Have fun with it. And I love middle grade personally because kids that age are often so like newly intellectually alive. Like they finally have the cultural like fluency, and they've learned what they like and what they're good at. They've kind of got that identity, and their curiosity is established, but they haven't gone through yet the shredder of like really hard adolescence, where like fitting in is really hard, and how you like whether you're attracted to people or not, and being cool, and there's this beautiful little slice of light between early childhood and full-on adolescence. That's really just a very sweet age. And like high school teachers get all the glam, but I really think that people who guide kids through that middle school, late elementary age are just heroic. And the books that I read at that age are still super important to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same. Absolutely same. And were like fundamental on framing how I looked at the world for, a really solid 5 to 10 years right after reading, and they still are with me now, but really helped out in the 5 to 10 years after I read them. So let's jump into our next question that comes in over at patreon.com/comiclab. And it says, I've had multiple fans ask me about translating my comic to their language and sharing it. Personally, I'm a bit of a control freak, so giving people permission to futz with my writing and post it to places I know nothing about makes me cringe. Am I overreacting? Are fans offering to translate for free a good thing? I could reach a wider audience, but would that audience even find my Patreon or support me in any way? Or would this just be useless to me and give other people a platform using my work? So my question is different than that. I'm not seeking a translation. I know that's silly. My wife translated her books to German. Boy, what a waste of money, effort, and drama. No thanks. But a fan is asking me to translate it they're asking me if they can translate it. They basically want my permission to take my comic, translate it, and post it somewhere else outside of my control. Dylan, what is your take on this? Good idea, bad idea, something in the middle? What is your reaction when you hear this question?
So fanlations in the manga world.
Fanlations? Is that what they're called? But you are so much more clued into the world of fandom created stuff than I am. Fanlations. I had no idea that was a phrase.
Sometimes they're also called scanlations because people used to like scan pages of manga and then like literally do digital pasting of translations into the word balloons. But it is something that has a really big and storied history in manga reading fandom and in fanfic. It's also really big, and to a certain extent in webcomics too. And I don't think there's a wrong way to feel about it. I think often it really is purely an act of love on the part of a fan who really loves your work and wants it to reach more people.
Right.
So
in an ideal situation, I would agree 99% of the time, that's what it is. I would agree
and the
with
fact that they're coming to you and asking is a really great sign. Because usually the people who are just like, they want to take your work, dump it on 4chan, and scrape people's info from downloading the PDF. Like those people aren't coming and sweetly asking you permission to translate, to undertake the unpaid labor of translating it into their language.
Right.
They're doing their best. And usually that person, if you say, I'm just not comfortable, will go, oh, okay, because they've got 9 billion other comics that they love and that they could translate.
Right.
So it kind of is down to your sensitivity levels, what you feel okay with. If somebody asked me if they could translate one of my comics that I self-publish into a language, my take is, heck yeah, go for it. Connect me. I want to connect with another reader who can like just back up that there isn't anything lost in translation that's really important to me.
Right, right.
And you could even offer to host it on your own space if having it not be under your posting control is what bothers you. But you could try to figure out how to set up like, oh, and here's the Russian mirror of it and in this subfolder of my domain.
Yeah.
Why not?
I agree with you on that last part in that if it existed and if it was created, I would want it on my domain. I wouldn't want to send somebody elsewhere.
Yeah.
Just because and this is maybe where you and I might differ a little bit, and that's okay. But my big thing is to own and control how the comic appears, knowing that already I don't own 100% of where it appears and is used. It's being shared on social media that I'm not even aware of. It's on Facebook pages and being emailed to cousins and all sorts of stuff. And people are changing words without telling me or cutting out my copyright without telling me. Of course, we both know that that's happening. But
it's like asking ChatGPT to make it sexy.
Yeah, because everyone needs that in their yellow ducks is to have a slightly sexier version of that yellow duck. Mm-hmm. So we both know that that's happening. But I at least if I'm going to give permission for this, I'd want it to be under my. I mean, let me put it to you this way: I actually want to do Drive in other language. I know it's a waste of time and money and effort, but I want it to exist in other languages eventually. It is just admitting it as a human. It's probably stupid and frankly egotistical maybe to want to have it in Japanese and French, but I just want it to exist for those markets.
Go ahead.
Your face is
so there. In my mind, there are two kinds of comics creators, and yes, there is a spectrum. There are many people and many motivations, but there are people who make their work like as a personal expression for themselves. It's the air they breathe. It's just they put it down on the paper, and that's just how they process the world or their inner life. And if other people happen across it, hooray! If they pay their rent with it, cool. Is that their main goal? No, they're scared of you.
You're right.
And then you have the people who are doing it as a way of reaching out, as a way of communicating, and because you want to connect. And even if you're not there to talk with somebody who reads your comic, you're having a conversation with them in a way just by dint of the work being accessible to them.
Right.
And I think that is the most natural human impulse on earth. Like it's not weird or silly or self-involved. Like you want to meet more cool people. You want more cool people to meet your characters. And I think that is the same impulse that powers a lot of fan offers or requests to do a translation.
You're probably right. And honestly, it is good for me to hear you remind me that some people make art for art's sake. Some people make art for their own emotional journey's sake, in terms of being a person living in the world and experiencing life. And I will tell myself that I tend to fall too much on especially the older I get, on the Machiavellian side of art making, which is like, I'm making art, Dylan, but I eventually want this to be in a book. And so it's going to be in a book, so I'm going to draw it in the format for a book. Whereas there's a lot of people that are like, no, I was sketching this on a Sunday on a rainy day and I'm sharing this. And
sure.
I'm just telling on myself that I forget that you can just make art for the sheer joy of making art. This is me telling on myself that, like, how sad is that? But
I don't think it's sad though. It's just another way of reaching people, right? And you have books that you love, and their being in a book format was meaningful and influences the way that you took it in, and you know that it enabled the creator to make some or all of their living from creating. So more stuff for everybody, hooray! So people are more or less like they have different goal focuses or different side benefits. But I also don't believe that, like, if tomorrow you were not allowed to ever make a product again, that you would stop creating.
No, that's true. I would keep making comics.
Yeah.
And that's the part of me that would like it to be translated because, like you said, it's, hey, I have this comic that I made that I love and I'm proud of it. And I think people would like it. And wouldn't it be neat if more people in other languages could read it too? Wouldn't that, like, that's the sort of childish, not childish, but childlike, hey, we can put the show on right here kind of energy, you know, like, oh boy, let's put on a little quick play. And that's the sort of mood that translation brings for me. I very much want Drive to appear in Japanese and French. And I have reached out to a friend of ours, a mutual friend that lives in Japan, for some Japanese professional translations. And I was actually you'll be pleased with this. I was actually going to reach out to you at some point down the line to see if you ever wanted to translate Drive into French, because I know your French is fantastic.
No.
Well, good that I sprung that on you on Comic Lab, so now I know never to email you with that question. Your face lit up like a train was coming at you. You were like, no, I don't want to do that. That was amazing.
No, yeah, I didn't even. So I had a short story outfoxed that was translated for French publication. And I was like, no, I can't do it myself. Like, I will read the translation that somebody else provides and I will do the relettering. But no, it's going to sound like a third grader with a head injury.
Well, let me ask you this, as a creator that saw their work translated, because I have seen it myself translated as Sheldon stuff. I've never seen Drive translated. But anyway, what was that experience for you like as a, I will just say, fairly advanced, not native speaker, but a fairly advanced French speaker? Is that fair to say? Would you describe yourself as a native speaker at this point? I'm
somebody who would get very anxious about having a casual conversation, but does a very good job reading Moliere.
There you go. I mean, that's the whole reason why you learn French anyway.
Yeah,
so
17th century Alexandrine couplets.
Sure, there you go.
Satirical theater, yes. Saying two with cheese, please.
I mean, the only reason I learned Spanish is to be able to read The House of Bernardo Alba in original Spanish. So that's why that's. Yeah,
I do okay with the academic French, but the conversational stuff is pretty rusty for me. But it was really amazing seeing it in French, because I could also see choices that the translator made that weren't mapped to my brain linguistically. They were turns of phrase or just idioms that I hadn't encountered or hadn't remembered, and it was really cool to be fluent enough in the endpoint language to go, they did a great job. This is really fun.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, and did you find that metaphors, those planes were landed well, or did you find these were alternate choices in a completely different linguistic system and historical references that they pulled from, I'm sure, to make it work?
They did a great job. There's some rhyming song stuff in there too, where I was like, and the title itself, Outfoxed, is a pun because it's about a fox who figures out a way to not be a fox anymore. And they found a title that doesn't have the same meaning as Outfoxed, but also involves a fox and has a double meaning. And They translated the song that kept the core meaning, but also rhymed and had good meter. So it was just stuff that would have been really, really difficult for me to do as a translator. But as a fluent speaker or native speaker, they just did a fantastic job. And obviously, not all translations are created equal. I'm sure there are a lot of terrible AI translations happening right now of original work done without permission. And that's something we all need to, think about and reckon with as creators. Like, sometimes maybe working with a fan to do an imperfect translation is better than somebody grinding it through an AI translation and then just dumping it online without even checking in with you.
Yeah, it's so let's circle back around, because that actually touches on the question asker's question again. So here is my fear with letting a fan who has all the passion and love in the world, and you and I will both, let's grant them that, right? Like they're coming at, they love Queen of the Sea. Oh, Dylan, they're the biggest fan. They love it, and they just want to bring it to Slovakian, or pick a language that's
I just want to live in my skin.
Yeah, listen, here in Moldova, I just want people to be able to read it. I'm just trying to think of whatever country where you're like, in your heart of hearts, it will never get professionally translated into, I don't know, Macedonian. I'm just trying to think of what. Pick a language. But so all the passion, love, and joy that they hold for your work, but they are a terrible translator, it turns out. And you don't really know. And they don't really even know that they're a bad translator. Do you know what I mean? And so you've just green-lighted a really terrible version of your work appearing in the world, right? And you kind of don't have a way to quality control that because you don't speak insert language here, Magyar, whatever it is, whatever language you want to pick. I'm really trying to pick languages that I don't know. So you both can't control the quality, and you have no way of knowing if you're accidentally offending people or if there are phrases that are historically both or either dubious or problematic. You don't know. And so, but you've greenlit it, and ostensibly you've given your approval for this thing. And so now you're not on the hook for it, but if you definitely don't control the website, it's out there without your approval. And there's this translation that you kind of can't control. I mean, I see that as a real problem for someone that's got a...
We do have the DMCA takedown as a tool.
Sure.
If there's something
but we both agree that if someone's outside of the U.S., which might be the case in a translation situation, that wouldn't really benefit you, right? I mean...
So a DMCA takedown is just a form of legal notice that is pertinent to things that are hosted by companies that have a United States presence.
Do you want to tell people what the DMCA is? Just really
it's
2-cent version.
It's the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and basically it gives you the right to tell anybody who takes your copyrighted content online and uses it without permission or in a way that you just don't like, that they need to take it down, or else you'll start sending them nasty grams.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not even sending the DMCA to the person who's posted it, but just to the host, to say, hey, one of your users is hosting content illegally. Here's, evidence of, my possession of that copyright, and 30 days, I'll check back in, or my attorney will check back in with you. So it's it's a really useful tool. It's outdated, it's creaky, but it's better than nothing. Obviously, American legislation doesn't apply everywhere globally, but copyright is generally acknowledged as international. The length of copyright varies, but for the most part, you're still allowed to control your content. And most web hosts don't want to be seen as a piracy website. Obviously, there are places that you just can't reach, and I recommend you take up deep breathing and yoga about just how some things cannot be controlled. That's the price of putting work out in the world, is that it's going to end up in places that you don't anticipate or maybe you feel comfortable with.
Very
but when it comes to translations, especially again, if a fan is coming to you and is offering their labor and collaboration with you, they're probably also willing to set terms with you. I want to have a beta reader. That's a term from fandom that's also very popular outside of it now. It's leaked.
Can you, for someone like me, can you describe what a beta reader is?
Yeah. So a beta reader is essentially a reader who is not going to be like a professional editor, but who basically is there to just do just a second level of checks and balances on a text. So if I have something that's being translated into Spanish by a fan and I don't feel confident that I can tell how, what's being lost or what creative liberties are being taken necessarily or not, I can say, hey, I'm looking for a beta reader who could read a Spanish, a draft of the Spanish translation and get back to me and the translator with notes. And that's something that a really passionate fan who is interested in doing this labor should say yes to. because it's another brain. It's helpful. The notes are probably going to be interesting and useful to them. Like, again, we're assuming best case scenario that this person really is in earnest. They're not just doing this like at volume to try to be like, hey, I translated to Russian. You pay. This is a real fan. And it can be really helpful for everybody just to have that second person. And a lot of times you'll have a fan who reads Spanish and will love an excuse to reread it. You can say like, hey, I can only pay $20, or this would be on a free basis. We're not expecting professional
or a gift
feedback.
of original art or a sketch or something. Sometimes I've done things like that.
Figure out what works for your audience. And obviously languages with much smaller speaker bases, you're going to have, more difficulty finding just a fan who's willing to provide that feedback, or multiple fans to provide that feedback. But it exists as just an extra way to have a little reassurance about the quality of the translation. And you can also say, I would really like to host this. And is it okay if I, give you credit for the translation and note that, I'm not responsible for the translation, but I'm hosting it as a way of giving access to fans who maybe aren't comfortable reading it solely in English.
Yeah. I think that's smart. And I want to talk about that last part specifically about the sort of notice on the website, because what I was planning to do with Drive in Japanese, if I ever do it, and this is still a big, huge if I ever do it, I want to have a linkable, let's say a Google Doc that could say, hey, are you a native Japanese speaker and you notice something that from your English reading of Drive, you're like, hey, the spirit of this was a little bit different, or hey, there's a slightly better word that the translator might not have thought of. You can suggest it on this form and just say what page it was, what panel it was, that kind of thing. And that way, much like my own webcomics, the Japanese version of Drive would sort of be ever improving over a 3, 6, 10-year period.
Which is the Japanese industrial principle of continuous improvent.
That's right. Much like Toyota's manufacturing process. Exactly.
Is it Kaizen?
Kaizen, I want to say. Yeah. Kaizen. Yeah, we're on the same page on that. Yes. Yeah. So that's my plan. But in the situation, and so yes, I'm agreeing with you on a lot of this, provided it ends up on my website. And so you know me well enough to know that I have just enough anxiety in day-to-day life that my fears sometimes get the better of me. And one of the fears that I would have in letting a fan translate something is like let's say they're like, I'm a native Magyar speaker. I want to bring it into, I'm going to translate it for you. I'm great. I'll host it. Bing, bang, boom. But then 5 years from now, a Hungarian publisher comes to me and goes, oh, I'd love to bring Drive to Hungary, and you're like, but you already have this bad translation online. And I guess what I'm saying is, this is a fear from conditionalities that are like so far unlikely to happen that it's weird that my mind puts this as a roadblock.
I'm definitely the glass is half full, probably of poison kind of person.
Yeah. So I'm saying like basically my brain, like you, because we are storytellers, my brain has the ability to be a catastrophic thinker. Yeah. And so I often think like, what's the worst thing that could happen from me letting a fan translate this into Hungarian? Okay. 3 years from now, a huge check that could have been written to me from a publisher in Hungary, which by the way, would not exist. A huge check from a publisher in Hungary will not appear because this bad translation already exists for free online. Do you get what I'm going with that? I'm just saying this is the way my brain works.
And I don't think that would be an issue because especially when you are working, especially publishers that are looking to purchase translation rights for a book published in another country, they're looking to publish it in their, to nativize it because they do see a market and because there is an audience of bilingual people in their country, or because the book fits a profile that sells really well for their itty bitty marketplace.
Right.
And I think the existence of a fan translation, of a wonky fan translation into a local language would honestly a lot of the time it would probably be like proof of concept for them. Like,
You
there are
might
enough
have a point
fans.
there. Yes.
There are enough
Yeah,
fans
yeah.
that somebody was willing to just
People
sit
were
down.
already trying to do it for free. Yeah, that's how existing the fandom is. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. And I've had Queen of the Sea, was not a great international sales prospect. It's a weird little book, but it did get republished in South Korea, and that was really
Did it
cool.
really?
Yeah.
Do you have the Korean version?
No.
Oh, they never sent you one?
No, it's kind of hit or miss. But like translation rights are it's like tiny little beepity check.
Well, I will say this to listeners. If anybody listening is in South Korea and can get us a copy of that book, I will send you some original art if you want to mail that to the States. I would love to give that to Dylan. Have you seen it? Have you seen it in South Korean? Like a page sample at least?
Nothing.
Oh, jeez Louise. The one time I ever got translated, Sheldon went into, I think it was Norwegian.
Wow, I love that.
For Tommy Ogtigern magazine. If it was not Norway, it might have been, it's one of the Low Countries maybe. I don't know. But Tommy Ogtigern magazine, which was the transliterated name of Calvin and Hobbes. I don't know why they didn't want to call it Calvin and Hobbes. I guess for religious reasons, probably.
Yeah,
and so
it's Calvinist there.
Yeah, exactly. So they made it Tommy Ogtigern, and so Sheldon appeared for a while in that magazine.
That's so sweet.
And it was weird to see it translated. It didn't make a lick of sense to me. I had no linguistic starting point for that, and so it was just like, look at that. Yeah. That's a language, all right. Sure. I hope I know what they're saying. But. So I think both you and I would kind of agree, if you're going to let this happen, try to maintain at least publishing control on the web, right? I think we would both come down on that.
If that's important to you, keeping in mind again that, like, again, when you put stuff online, people are going to print it out. People are going to download. They're going to make a folder of all of the images. Like, it's going to happen.
Yep.
And maybe like web hosting is really onerous for you and confusing, and like you just have your work up on Webtoon or Tapas or whatever, and like the whole concept of hosting a language mirror is just like to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Then just say, hey, if you want to put this on the same platforms that I already have the primary comic on, that's great. Just share the login with me. And that way, if I ever need to make a change, I can go in. Just ask for something like that. So it isn't that you have to maintain control. You can't maintain control in this world. Like Charles Dickens was getting pirated.
I know. And Hogarth was getting pirated. It's one of my like die on the hill matters is that like I always try to control where it, at the very least, it first appears, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know
I don't think it makes you like crotchety or delusional or anything. I think it's a good thing to aim for. And that varies depending on what kind of work you're doing, right?
And to your earlier point, it also varies depending on what your goal is. And that's where I need to broaden my heart a little bit, because I have the very capitalist goals. And some people are just like, no, I want this to just exist and to exist for the maximum number of people for the maximum amount of joy. And so, which, by the way, is a very wholesome goal. The
amount of money that I could make off of commissioning a Magyar translation and then hosting it independently and would eclipse any financial benefits.
Yeah.
So via con Dios, however you say that in Magyar.
No, you nailed it. In Magyar, that I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I will say this too, is that, and Dylan can either confirm or not confirm this, but for Tommy Ogtigern and for the time that one of my wife's books got translated into Italian, the money for a translated work is not what you think it's going to be. It's very, very small.
If you're writing in English,
very
you're
small.
Already in one of the biggest possible publishing markets. Like,
yes,
I feel like Mandarin might offer greater numbers, but for the most part, like, you're already in the biggest pond. And any other language groups, unless you have a project that just speaks to another culture in an intense way, and you find out that you are that, like, you're writing Harry Potter for Peruvians. Like, that is a rare, it's the big in Japan phenomenon where, sometimes that happens.
Which does exist, but so rare. It's a lightning in a bottle situation,
But yeah, even in that situation, it's not going to be galactic amounts of cash.
Yeah. I mean, I always joke with Brad, even in the manga market, which admittedly is just gigantic, they're not looking for what Dave Kellett is creating. You know what I mean? They're always like, all right, we got enough here. We're fine, pretty. Sit down, Dave Kellett. You go back to your bench over there.
What Western nonsense is this?
We're but just that, we've got enough. We're not actively looking for some weird American-based webcomic that we don't really care about.
Home.
Yeah, exactly. The mom is driving them home. Yeah, we've got webcomics at home. All right, well, before we jump into our last two questions, I'm going to do a quick update for everybody on the show. Just a reminder, if you are in the Midwest, Comic Lab Live at the National Cartoonist Society will be happening August 6th, which I think is a Friday. I'd have to look at the calendar. And that event is public. You can buy tickets for all the National Cartoonist Society events if you are not a member of the National Cartoonist Society over at nationalcartoonists.com. And then there's also, and this is kind of exciting, there's a public free signing of all the National Cartoonist Society cartoonists. I think Jim Davis will be there. Kathy Geiswhite will be doing a public talk along with signing. But honestly, I say this with love in my heart. I don't know how many more public appearances Jim is going to be making in this world in terms of he's done a full run of his career. He doesn't need to make appearances anymore, And so if you are a Garfield fan, that's pretty fun. So that is the update for everybody. The weekend of August 6th, 7th, and 8th. Columbus, Ohio, there's also free admittance to the Billy Ireland Cartoon Museum, which, by the way, have you been there, my friend?
So, Dave, you might recall that I was there with you at the opening of the Billy Ireland Cartoon Library. And
I did not remember that. That's embarrassing.
And in fact, we were making little jokes amongst ourselves and got a dirty look from Mort Walker.
Did we?
Yes.
Oh, my God. What were the dirty jokes? Do you remember?
No, we weren't making dirty jokes. We were just having a fun time and
we were just enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, we were just tittering over everything, and he was, pontificating about the library, and we were those young rapscallions up in the balcony.
I'm remembering this now. We were just kind of joking around, hanging out towards the back, kind of in terms of things, right? And he was talking about this or that,
where the ceremonial stuff was happening, and we were both like, "Oh no." We're going to Cartoonist hell.
Thank you for reminding me. I had forgotten about that, but God forbid people laugh at a cartoon museum.
But we got to go down to the archives and see Little Nemo originals and Calvin and Hobbes watercolor. It was an amazing experience, and I'm
those
super
Little
grateful.
Nemos amazing. Bill's watercolors are amazing. I will tell this to you, friend, because they just did a whole multi-million-dollar redo of the museum, and this will be the reopening of it. Oh. So now it has a bigger, expanded Calvin and Hobbes display, the permanent artwork. You know how every museum has the permanent stuff and then the changing shows. The permanent stuff has a bigger, more impressive footprint, and the changing stuff has a better, I don't know how to describe it, more malleable, I guess, flexible formatting possibilities. So I'm really excited to see the museum again. So if you're in the Midwest and it's a day's drive for you, my gosh, come on out. It's going to be really fun. And then I will, you know what, let's just do one more question. I've already asked so much of you, Dylan, but this will be a fun one.
Dave,
because
I'm talking to an adult. This is exciting.
Yeah, when you've got little ones, it's I know that feeling where you're just like, I'm so happy to not be talking about Bluey. Just 5 minutes of not talking about Bluey and the little. Have you seen the one with the little French kid with Bluey? Speaking of the French.
Yeah, that's the one that makes everybody cry. I'm the one.
I weep at that episode. I weep.
So I cry at the one that's set to Holst's Planet Suite, where it's in space and it's the mother is the son, and I'm I'm like getting verklempt just thinking about it. But I would that it were Bluey. We're heading deep into Pokemon territory, and
are you? Wow.
So my child has no idea what she's talking about. She is just dawning. The great Pikachu sun is just starting to become visible over the horizon. And so every time she comes to me to be like, Mama, in this episode, Scorzleblacks is missing, but they found his earlier evolution. And I remind myself, she's seeking connection with you.
Respond in this moment. Ask about Glibblblop and what Glibblblop's evolution is. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
You know what? You know what? Now that I know this, I'm gonna do for you what Brad Geiger did for me about 8 years ago, when were falling in love with Legos. Suddenly, I got a 40-pound box shipped to me from Philadelphia, where Brad's like, "Go with God. This is yours now. We're passing this on to you." And he was, let me be like, and in true friendship, he was happy to be rid of it, and I was happy to gain it. So I'm gonna send you a bunch of Pokemon cards. That's what you are about to inherit from the Kellett household.
You will become a folk hero, Dave.
Because Brad was honestly paying it forward is one of the nicest things you can do in parenting. Like, listen, we are past this stage, so I'm happily passing it on. You are about to get a 20-pound box of Pokemon cards.
Amazing.
Of which I know none of what has value, what doesn't, I don't know, but you're about to get that from me. So great. I'm glad you said that on the show. Hey, gang, if you're listening while you work, take a minute to stand and stretch.
And while you're doing that, we'll tell you why you should join us on Patreon.
Yeah, because when you do, you'll get hours and hours of podcasts that we've recorded just for backers.
And exclusive Patreon posts that go even deeper on Comic Lab topics.
And you'll get access to our exclusive Discord server, a thriving community of professional cartoonists.
So you can support the show you love and get tons of actionable resources for your own cartooning.
And ho Nelly, if you want even more comics goodness in your life, check out the new drawing show that we're doing with our pal Kevin McShane over at wrongwayshow.com. That's wrongwayshow.com.
In each episode, we'll show you how to draw your favorite cartoon characters the wrong way.
Now, everybody, let's talk comics. So let me ask you this final question, and you are the perfect person to ask this. So it says, "Hey, Dave and Dylan, I'm wondering if you have any tips on how to draw a comic or cartoon version of oneself. I've been wanting to draw some comic memoirs from my life, but my mind keeps bouncing between a literal or stylized depiction when it comes to drawing myself. What do you consider when you are drawing yourselves?" And that comes in from Sam. So Sam, thank you for that question. Dylan, honestly, I have seen multiple versions of you self-caricaturing yourself. And what I mean by multiple is very iconicized to very realistic versions of yourself. And you just sort of know that scale of like very minimal line, very caricatured to more realistic and watercolored versions of yourself. And you're very good at all of them. You really have a sense of self that I do not have. I just don't have that awareness of what I look like. And I also lack, I think, something of the caricature bone. I can do it, but it's not natural to me to be a caricaturist. Whereas friends like you are very good at it. Danielle Corsetto is very good at it.
Danielle Corsetto is disgustingly good at it. Like I have to try really hard.
Yeah.
And I can do it after like a whole bunch of passes. I don't have the like fluency with the like professional caricaturist shorthand that Danielle does. Check out her work if you haven't.
Danielle is Danielle, to speak her praises even further, Danielle goes annually to the caricaturist convention, which I've never been to. Yeah. But I have heard, gang, from multiple sources that if it's in your city, you should go to this if you at all dabble in caricature, because apparently it's amazing. And you can be caricatured and caricature in turn all the best artists in that world, which is fun. Like, to have Tom Richmond caricaturing you in person. That's cool. So anyway, that's neither here nor there for this topic. But how do you approach, because there's two questions here basically that I'm hearing. How do you approach drawing yourself? But then how do you approach the considerations of iconic towards realistic in a story about yourself? So I see that as two questions. Maybe you see that as even more than two. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think they're related. Like, so you have to consider what is the ultimate context you want to put this in. Mm-hmm. Generally, when it comes to any form of autobiography where you're telling the reader, hey, this is me, this is the point of view character, you want to make it more iconic, even to the point of being much more iconic than the other characters who are present. Mm-hmm, because as our friend Scott McCloud would tell you, the simpler something is as a face, the more relatable it is.
Yep.
And the more it's just a vessel for feeling, as opposed to, oh, that is an outside person. That is not me.
Yes.
It's a cue to the reader, like, oh, okay, this is the little cartoon Goomba that is me in this story.
Right, right. Yeah, the greater the iconicity, the greater the universality, and the greater the specificity. Also okay, but you're basically asking the reader to step into your world more specifically than seeing themselves through your sketches.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually have to look much like you. Like Keith Knight is the cartoonist who draws himself constantly for his work.
Yeah, true.
And let me tell you, other than like being a brown guy, that's about it. Like he draws himself as a little bean with a big bulbous nose and like one squiggle of one long squiggle hair. Like if you meet him in person, he doesn't look like that. He's a normal dude. He's
handsome
a normal dude.
Handsome as all get out. Yeah, it doesn't look like that at all. Yeah.
Yeah, he was played by Lamorne Morris
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
show's work.
He's doing fine. Yeah. He doesn't look like a one squiggle hair. He's not a Charlie Brown.
Yeah. And then there's things that are a bit closer, like Scott McCloud's depiction of himself in Understanding Comics up through Making Comics, where he has like added details of age to his persona, his little cartoon
Which I find
persona.
very charming, by the way, because he could have locked it in. He really could have locked it in and kept with that.
That would be lying. He's like, obviously, I don't wear that jacket and shirt in real life, and I do have eyes behind the glasses, but like I want the thing to reflect some level of reality. And when it comes to depicting myself, I recommend being a very change-resistant person who maintains the same style over decades.
I will say, having known you now for probably the better part of 2 decades, that's true. Although it's also true for me in the sense that, like, hey, was it comparatively cheap to buy this shirt? And is it comfortable? Then yes, Dave Kellett's probably going to wear it. That's my sense of style.
That's a budget, not an aesthetic.
But for me, what I'm saying is the Venn diagram is a perfect circle for those two things. Whereas you have always had a wonderful look that is very distinctly you. There's always a scarf. There's always glasses that, not always a point, but they are usually, how does one to say it?
A cat eye works well for my face shape.
A cat eye works well for your face shape, but it's also, you always have a distinctive like you never have the glasses disappear on your face. They're always distinctive. Yeah. Although I have to say the ones you're wearing now are the least.
Yeah, they're fairly unobtrusive. There's a part of the reason for that is that I can't wear glasses with the plastic frames because I will snap them in half while I'm traveling at a convention.
Yes,
this has happened to me more than once.
Yeah. I'm famous for stepping on my glasses in the presence of another human being and they going, was that your glasses?
Sometimes also right when there's a deadline, that's a popular one.
Or when I have to drive somewhere, that's a good one. It's like if you have a long drive coming up. Yep,
so
that's
these are
fun.
the super flexible ones. It also means that if my children smash their heads into my face, they don't break. But yeah, still, it's still got the same kind of shape. I've pretty much always got the short hair. Let me put it this way. All my face blind friends and relatives come to me first at parties.
You are the locked in resource. Yeah,
because they're like, okay, kind of small, wacky short hair, glasses, wearing black. Got to be Dylan. Dylan, help me out here. Who am I talking to?
Oh, wait, that's Scott McCloud? I'm used to the old iconic black hair. Exactly.
Yeah, you're not wearing a checkered jacket.
Yeah, your checkered shirt.
Some exercises you could ask yourself is, okay, if somebody who bears no physical resemblance to me were to dress up as me for Halloween, like if they were to be me as a costume, what would make them recognizable to other people?
Right. That's a good technique. I was going to say start with the I don't know how many there are, the sort of 10 to 15 fundamental face shapes and then work inward. But yeah, you're right. Starting with how would one caricature you at a Halloween party? That's an interesting way to think about it.
Well, that separates it from like the details of your face shape or your body. Like it's great if your cartoon language has a good avenue for that. But like some people, everybody's getting drawn with a round head and a little beep nose or dot eyes, right? Like you can't always depend. And some people just have very regular features, like bless. There isn't something, they don't have a tag in their facial features that makes it really easy to extract out. So you have to go for other things. And that may be, postural, like maybe you're somebody who's always in shrimp pose. It can be the stuff that face blind people rely on, like hair. My
fashion cues.
Yeah, my mother-in-law is face blind, and she recognizes my wife because my wife has curly red hair, and she recognizes the way that she walks.
Really? That's
Yes.
the gait is what does it?
The gait is what does it. Like, we were cheering my wife on at a half marathon, and Katie had a hat on, so her hair was hidden. And my mother-in-law, Kathy, was out there. She did not remember my wife's day glow leggings. She just saw the walk and went, "Oh, that's my daughter." So like things that don't even seem expressible in a single individual image can still be really characteristic.
Right,
so
right.
like posture, accessories, hair, the fact you put yourself always wearing black or, always wearing a stripy shirt. Like, Mouse is an amazing example of somebody who plays with the way that he is depicted in his own work. Everything from being a cartoon mouse, a very simplified cartoon mouse, to being a real human guy who's got a cartoon mouse mask slapped onto his very real human face.
Right,
hiding
right.
it. So like he takes a huge variety of tacks to, play with expectations of how a character is recognizable across different visual languages.
Yeah.
So I don't think you even have to caricature so much as distill
and make choices. And by choices, I think I'm just reinforcing what Dylan just said, which is it posture? Is it the way that they speak? By the way, we haven't even talked about that in terms of writing style, in addition to drawing style. The way that they speak, the diction, the sentence length, the sentence choices. Is it their specific fashion choices? Like, they're always going to appear in these one or two types of shirts, even if the shirts themselves vary. So like, if you're a Steve Jobs, you will always be in a turtleneck as a caricature, right? That's the kind of thing, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's a really good point. And let's talk specifically about the choice of, if you're starting from the beginning, Dylan, and writing a story, an autobiographical story about you, what would be the considerations that you would have in terms of, like, okay, I do want to go towards more iconic, or I do want to go towards more realistic. What to you would be the guiding lights of, like, how to choose which way to go for this question asker?
I think tone is a big one.
Okay.
Because the way I would draw myself for a silly story, or like, "Oh, that Dylan, what a goof," is very different from what I would do if I am drawing about something really hard or really, awful or traumatic. It's not that I'm going to be drawing myself more realistically if a story is not funny. It's that I'm not going to, it's maybe not going to be quite so whimsical.
Right.
In the same way that the mouse characters in Art Spiegelman's book are drawn in a very simple, cartoony style, but they're not whimsical. Like,
no, they're not.
There's a haunting quality to them, and
almost
likewise,
a chalk-like line. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
So
Chalk always has sort of a haunting quality to me. Like,
there's a
roughness to the line.
There's a grittiness to it. Yeah.
So
even stuff like the line quality. Whether you've got big swoopy lines that are really friendly and lively, or whether you're just doing something that's maybe a little more geometric or a little more settled. I think whether you're trying to find a humor angle overall, or whether you are expressing, some really universal human emotions, but ones that are not about what, look at this guy. Erica Moen is friend since the dawn of time of mine, and she has drawn a lot of autobio about some pretty intense, silly stuff and some really intense stuff. She had a recent project called Space Camp that was all about an intensive outpatient psych program that she went through. Yeah. And she drew herself like as a little cartoon bean with a little dip-a-doo. And that character is still exuding a lot of the like exhaustion or, anxiety. There's a lot of tone. There's a lot of attention paid to tone in how she cartoons herself in that. Like you want to come up with even a simple cartoon that shows the impact of the emotions that are being depicted.
Right. I will co-sign all of that entirely. I will say a couple other things for your potential toolkit to consider, and then we can leave it, is that you don't necessarily have to limit yourself to iconic versus realistic in this sense. One of the things that like Tintin, or as we pronounce it in French, Dylan.
Tintin.
Tintin. Oh, is it Tintin?
Tintin.
Like, I've always said Tintin. Like, so you don't do the N. You leave the N sort of hanging. So it's
it's a nasal N. Tintin.
Tintin. Okay, I've said it wrong for decades. Well, my apologies to all of Belgium. Anyway, so in Tintin and in a lot of manga, sometimes you'll have a very iconic character pick up an object. And when the camera angle swivels to the object itself, you'll suddenly have a much greater realism, right? Like you see it more in manga than in Tintin. Dang it. Say it again.
Tintin.
Tintin. I got to get the nasally.
Yeah, it's a soft palate wacky thing. Anyway.
Did I ever do for you my joke with Ryan North about the little Quebecois kid who greets the Fantastic Four when they come to Quebec?
Dave, I illustrated that for you.
That's right. Why am I forgetting every interaction we've ever had on this podcast? I sound like the worst friend ever. Like, yes, Dave, I was in your wedding. I was there. Yes, I passed you the ring. Oh, that's right, Dylan. I forgot. That's right. You did illustrate the little Quebecois kid.
Back, Monsieur. Monsieur le Fantastique.
Monsieur le Fantastique. Ah, bonjour.
I personally liked the human flame. Is the human flame human torch?
Human torch, yeah.
Or I was just like, le mec qui brûle. The burning dude.
The burning dude. Oh, God. Yeah. That was such a fun bit.
Invisible Woman was the chick you do not see.
What is that in French?
La nana qu'on ne voit pas.
See, you could translate Drive. I know you have it in you. You can do it. No. I'm going to send you that email. You're going to send me your price quote. We're going to make this happen. We're going to be two pals translating Drive into French together. This is what we're going to do.
You send a man one drawing of Clippy as a philopod, and he thinks you hung the stars in the sky.
That's right. So wait, where was I? Oh, so what I'm saying is, storytelling-wise, there are more tools in your toolkit too, aside from having chosen one path or the other. So I have seen. We've all seen both autobiographical and comics and manga use that trick of, frankly, code switching from iconic to realistic, depending on what the mood is that you need to give in the scene. So sometimes you'll have very iconic characters holding a realistic moment, or very realistic characters that need to have either a mental break from whatever their state is, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, and they'll really simplify down to the most chibi version of themselves to express a thing, and then it's only for a panel and they're back into their realistic self again. We've seen that too.
You can kind of yo-yo around.
Yeah, you could also have a narrator on top of a narrator. So if you're doing an autobiographical story and it's highly iconic, you could have a very realistic version of yourself pop on every once in a while in a sort of 1950s talking head style. I've seen versions of that done as well. So are there other options that you can think of, Dylan, and that's sort of like jumping back and forth between realism and iconic?
I think that's...
Danielle's done that, I know, sometimes in her autobiographical comics.
Yeah, people kind of pull that little slider around depending on just the details of the story and the tone of the story, what information you need. Like if you're drawing a character who's two dots and one little smile line, and the story is all about like a complex skin condition, it's probably not going to read as well as if you have a more realistic face and you're like, okay, yeah, here are the swords. That's a weird example.
No, but to that exact point, though, sometimes, though, you'll have cartoonists write against type in order to help the moment. And so you could have someone saying like, oh, but my face is it's totally broken out. And they'll in that moment switch to super iconic, because then it's just like a big, in order to show that to the wider world, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? But to that character, it mattered. You get what I'm saying is you can write against expected type, or draw rather against expected type in order to help undercut a moment or to exemplify the inner life of the character versus what the world is seeing. And so that can be an effective tool.
There's also like the trick of, if you have other friends who are cartoonists, like ask them to draw a cartoon of you.
Yeah.
You find out fun stuff about the way you look to other people.
Oh yeah, but it's also horrifying. And I will say though, it hasn't really helped me. Like I've been caricatured now by some of the best. I mean, Scott Campbell, Tom Richmond. You've done it. Who else? Danielle's done it. Laura D'Souza's done it.
Dave, you're frankly impossible because sometimes you have a beard, sometimes you don't have a beard. Sometimes you have glasses, sometimes there's no glasses. Sometimes you're wearing a fish hat, sometimes you're not wearing a fish hat. Like, what are we supposed to do, Dave?
But I'm also self-aware enough to know that for 99% of the world, I'm neutral white guy. You know, like I don't really have standout-ish features aside from maybe the chin. The chin everybody sort of leans in on that I have kind of a stronger than, or like a sort of a Jay Leno-ish chin. Not strong is not the right word. Prominent is the right word.
I would not put you in the pile of people who are really hard to draw. I would put you in the pile of people who are really hard to come up with a consistently applicable, simplified cartoon of, again, because you so often have variation in just the way that you are immediately styled. Like you would be a nightmare for face-blind people.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because like your hat, glasses, facial hair situation changes a lot.
So it's funny you should mention Katie's gait as being a signal for face blindness people because David Malky once had an assistant who was face blind, and she remembered me based on apparently I had big energy when I would make a joke. You know what I mean? Like I would No, I mean, I'm not saying anything you don't know.
You're such a wallflower, Dave.
That's how she knew me, is that like my arms would be more gesticulating.
She's like, the SpongeBob SquarePants kind of guy.
The guy that's a living cartoon. Yeah, all right, that's Dave.
Yeah, and people remember me as the one who like randomly is doing yoga leg poses. I'm like, true.
That is true. You do that kind of stuff every once in a while. Yeah.
You know what? I found out something horrifying, Dave. That shit's genetic.
Oh, really? Mom or grandma were doing yoga in the background?
No.
Conversations?
My almost 2-year-old baby boy will just wander around the house and then he'll suddenly just like pop a bird of paradise pose and just kind of lean into it and then lean out again. And I'm like, this is not something I have demonstrated for him. I'm usually too busy when I'm around the children to That is a
straight up lie, because gang, you'll be talking to Dylan and then all of a sudden like an ankle will be up on a door frame. You're like, first of all, how'd you do that? Secondly, what are you doing? It's bonkers.
Listen, but around my children, I'm usually fetching them cups of juice. So I don't have the time.
Different task set.
But it was weird to see him doing that and being like, oh, that's what that looks like. Oh, okay. All right. I see it. I see what y'all saying.
Oh, all right. So that's what I look like. Yeah,
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So other
exactly.
people, like, even if they're not like nailing an assemblage of features that really speaks to your self-image, they may still like just pick up on stuff that then you can use. Like there also, if that's too intimidating to you, there's some great fun time wasters to be had on picrew.com.
What's that?
It's PICREW, Picrew, which is a originally Japanese website that is basically just little personal icon makers. They're all done by actual artists.
Okay.
Some of them will have like very, very niche specific themes. Some of them are not meant to create your personal portraits. It's just like, make a cute frog. And then there's a selection of adorable hats to put on your little customized frog image. It's kind of like the anti-AI, which I something I really love about it, because people spend hours upon hours just creating like 9,000 different hairstyles that you can apply to this character and features that you can like nudge up or down by a pixel. So like go in there, find a few that amuse you and just see what it takes to make something that your roommate or your kid or your next door neighbor goes, hey, that's you as a potato.
Yeah. Or if you want to travel back in time, you can do Wii Sports, and you know how you have to create that little icon version of yourself? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Or if you do Duolingo, what does your little Duolingo icon look like?
Oh, mine's the default state, but yeah. I try not to have anything personal on Duolingo because I don't trust that. Anyway.
That's fair.
So I will just correct you on one thing, though, my friend, because I looked it up because I'd never been there. It's picrew.me. So ME. So the .com is apparently taken by something else. We'll just say it that way.
Something that shall not be named. Yeah.
But yes, that's great. And so I really want to focus in as sort of the end capper on your brilliant idea that it doesn't even really have to be you at the end of the day. It just has to be a iteration of you in some way, shape, or form that is consistent. Yeah. Because maybe it's helpful to put it this way. Long before I met Scott McCloud and came to know him, I knew him from the icon. I didn't know what he looked like. It didn't matter to me what he looked like. To me, Scott McCloud was that iconic character on the page with the little stripy shirt. And I think he had the Zot lightning bolt, right, on his T-shirt. Yep. That was it. And so as long as it's consistent, to Dylan's great point, you can be a Keith Knight with a squiggle hair that doesn't match what you look like. You can be a Scott McCloud that's wearing a Zot T-shirt that doesn't match what your fashion choices are. You can be an Erica Moen that is a squiggly little bean going through the ward. You as long as it is consistent, that works, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's the whole idea. Is just it's wild to me that literally I can put 2 lines down on a page, and my 6-year-old daughter will be like, "It's you." I'm like, yeah.
Well, you are, again, and just to give you the compliment one last time, you are uniquely good at caricaturing yourself. You are very good at it. You're a very talented artist in all sorts of ways that I'm envious of. But I do wish I had your ability for self-caricature. I just don't have it. And it's also, I think I'm fine with it because it's been enough decades where I don't know that I'm ever going to get that ability.
I also think that you put so much of your personal expressiveness into your characters that.
Well, that's nice. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that there is so much Dave in your style that it really is. It's not hard to draw the line between interacting with you in person and reading your work. You're like, oh yeah, this is the same guy.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, I had another cartoonist because I was trying to not draw in my style for a project we were talking about together. I was trying not to draw in my style. And he basically said, Dave, just make sure you never doodle on the bank heist note when you rob a bank, because no matter what you do, they're going to know it's you. And I don't even, and I say this as a weakness, I don't even see the style that other people ascribe to me, if that makes sense. You know, I think that I'm escaping it when I'm trying to draw in a Dylan S style. Nope, still looks like me. So
yeah, it's really interesting. Like there's a cognitive thing going on, and there are some people who really they have their cartoon language, and you know there may be slightly different flavors of that, but on the whole, like this is just how things go through their brain. And then you've got like weirdo mimics like me, where there are things that are very characteristic about my work, and somebody who really knows me well can look at anything I draw and 85% of the time will be like, yeah, I think Dylan drew that one.
Yep. And we'll
but
be
I
right,
don't have a house style except when it comes to my self doodle.
Yeah, but it's akin to there's a word for it in science, but I forget, how you can never smell, because your nose intentionally fights it. You can never smell your own body odor because you're trying to find the room scent or the environment scent, so your body intentionally ignores your own scent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think
strips it out.
A version of that happens with your own cartooning style, where your brain is like, well, no, this is just the base state. This is just what art should be. And so you're not seeing as like, no, this was all a choice. These were all stylistic choices. Well, and they are distinct to you, you know?
There's a reverse thing that happens also. I am one of my studio, Steve Lieber, my studio mate, Steve Lieber, does a lot of work for Marvel and DC. He's known for doing really comedic work.
Eisner nominated Steve Lieber, you mean, I think?
Yeah, he's did a great run on Jimmy Olsen, written by Matt Fraction. And it's back out in print now, by the way, in hardcover.
Great.
So pick that up from Steve's Etsy. But I was one of his models for that book and for many other titles. Like I'm bendy, I'm a ham, I can hold still for a long time, I know good angles. So he uses me for a lot of stuff, including for characters who I'm not that type.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you Jimmy Olsen?
I am.
I'm excited. I know Jimmy Olsen.
And for many of the photos in which I was Jimmy Olsen, I was very pregnant. So like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like, that's right. Where Jimmy Olsen is a pregnant lesbian. But
I love that. Like, by the way, Jimmy Olsen's like, everyone's like, what's wrong with Jimmy Olsen's lumbar region of their spine? Why is it curved so far forward?
A lot of lordosis and
yeah,
no,
exactly.
but so I've been in a lot of stuff of Steve's, and sometimes he reuses pictures, and there have been, I'll read his comics, and I'll be like, damn, Steve, like, I really love that, like, panel 5. That's just a great character drawing. And he'll be like, yeah, that's you. I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, yeah, I had something about that character just really speaks to me. And he's like, that's because
just seem like a winner, Steve.
Yeah.
They just seem like a character that knows what's going on.
It's just a really beautiful image.
Just,
and he's like, yeah,
an inner light of that character that just makes the universe a better
then I'll
place.
turn back on the reference layer, and underneath, like, the
it's just a very pregnant you going, oh God, I'm making this pose. Yeah.
But it's so funny how, like, we have these cognitive biases, and they influence us, in both direction, both being blind to our own cues and also subliminally being very receptive to them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely the case. I mean, like, I know I have my own cognitive bias in writing characters that I keep defaulting towards joy, and it's a problem when I need villainous characters in Drive. I'm not being false.
I know.
I'm just saying, like, I tend to want to make everybody likable, and which in a way is good when you're trying to write villainous characters, because every villain in their own mind thinks they're the hero. So it's okay to let them have moments of levity.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you just have to be aware of your own writing biases, because if left to my own devices and I will make everybody fun, and that's a problem with a story like Drive, No,
that's why I'm always on you to pitch it to more people as Star Wars, but they're all Muppets.
I've started doing that, by the way. Good. I absolutely have stolen that from you.
It's a great pitch because everybody has the like waka waka, like friendly, like just wacky character design elements that all have the same spirit. And that is very much your energy, and it really comes out.
No, I want you to know that I thought of you when I had to write up some sort of blurb for the Hugos, and I just said, well, Dylan describes it. I think I changed it from Star Trek. I said Dune meets the Muppets, and that's what I used. And so I was like, because the Scopy scale of, but anyway.
Yeah.
But I want you to know that I very much took that to heart, your advice, that it's kind of the Muppets, because that is true.
And likewise, in the Muppets, like there's a reason why they always cast the bad guys are human actors.
Yeah. You're right.
Because the Muppets are always funny and friendly and relatable. They're goofy. Like, even the weirdest, freakiest ones, like, they really have to lean all the way. Like in Dark Crystal, like, they have to lean really hard to make even the bad Skeksis.
They have to make them
creepy.
Dripping almost with goo. You know what I mean? Like
they
the
just
Skeksis.
have to, like, so much, and they still are kind of funny.
Yes.
But in the Muppet movies, where it is the Muppets trademark, they're all so delightful that there's just no way to make one of them unlikable. And then you look at Christmas Carol, and you've got Michael Caine just never breaking character as and he's acting in a real human movie, and it works brilliantly.
Well, this actually, I'm so glad you brought that up as an example. And how conversationally did we end up back here? Because this is perfect. But for the person asking about caricature and realism versus iconicity, the Muppets perfectly show that in the Muppets, you see the universality of the iconic characters that you can step into. Fozzie, Miss Piggy, Beaker, doesn't matter. They're all versions of you as you're watching. But the human character, because of the specificity and because of the realism, that's the one you're supposed to other. And that's brilliant that it ties back into that. So good on you, Dylan. That's perfect.
And on that note, you've been listening to Comic Lab, the show about making comics and making a living from comics.
That was the most perfect transition ever. Brad could not have done that better himself. Your delightful guest host has been my friend Dylan Meconis, the author of Queen of the Sea and the upcoming Prince of the City. And honestly, gang, head over to any bookstore, head over to any online bookstore, pick up your copy of Queen of the Sea. You will not regret it. It is beautifully drawn, beautifully written, beautifully created, and I am such a fan. So thank you, Dylan.
And my dear friend Dave Kellett, co-director of Stripped, cartoonist of Sheldon at sheldoncomics.com, and Drive at drivecomic.com.
And the Comic Lab theme song is used with permission from Andy Creighton at theworldrecord.net. And this episode was edited by the ever wonderful, ever whimsical Matt Woodard of Woodsong Productions over at www.woodsong.media.
If you love Comic Lab, you can rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and you may hear your review featured on a future episode. And don't forget to give the lads a 5-star review on Spotify, where they are burning up the podcast charts.
Burning up the podcast charts. That's one of Brad's favorite phrases. I'm like, are we burning? I don't know. I don't know if we're burning. That's fine. I'll accept it though.
You're fully in flames.
We are, what is it, inflagrated? I don't know if that's the right word there. And gang, you can share your thoughts on today's episode over at the Comic Lab Confab line at 1-609-379-3520, and we may play your message on a future episode.
And really, seriously, I'm going to emphasize what Dave said, that you should make plans now to join Comic Lab Live at the NCS Conference and Reuben Awards, August 6th to 8th in Columbus, Ohio at nationalcartoonists.com for details. You are going to just have an amazing time in Columbus.
It's going to be a delightful panel. We have a beautiful panel to put together of amazing cartoonists. And again, all the talks together. If you're not coming to the show, you can go to the cocktail hour and all the talks for $100, I think it is, over at nationalcartoonists.com. So please join us. And Comic Lab is made possible by your support at patreon.com/Comic Lab. So we'll go ahead and say that twice. Patreon.com/ I think my buddy Dylan is fantastic.
Comic Lab.
So Dylan, now that I know that I've upset our Franco-Belgian comics readers for years now in mispronouncing tonton, just by the way, does tonton
It's like the Law and Order noise you're making. It's produced by Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf, tonton. That's funny. Dun, 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 dun. That's funny. But now that I can make reparations by trying to learn a line from you're doing it more up in the nose. Do I have to become a little? I have to become a little 10-year-old version of myself.
No, you're still doing ta.
Oh, so there's an H. So there's an H in there. TAH. Is that better?
No.
God, I am not built to speak French. I just can't. Okay, but teach me one phrase from Tintin.
Putain, encore avec ce mec Tintin.
Oh my God! There's no way I'm gonna get that. So wait, putain, is that the French? Are you saying French poutine? Is that what you're saying up front?
Oh yeah.
Putain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so putain.
That's what that means. Not anything else.
Okay, so it's clearly a cuss word. Putain. What was the next one?
Putain, encore avec ce mec Tintin.
Encore ce mec avec Tintin. Did I say that right? Not even close. Not even close.